Hello, hi, welcome, and thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you joining me. We are going to get you some clarity. We're going to see what's going on here. Pre-warning, it's going to be one of those raw, rough, maybe telling, maybe triggering readings. So see if this is your story or if it's giving you clarity on what was concerning or confusing. I feel like it is going to be very specific, but if you feel drawn to watch this, there's going to be something coming through that will be helpful for you, healing for you. It's timeless. It's collective. See what resonates. If it doesn't feel like your message, sometimes there's certain messages that need to go to, somewhere else, someone else that needs to hear it. Always trust that direct connection you have to your higher self, to God, to source, to the universe, because the answer is always in you. And try to make balanced decisions between logic and intuition. So your decisions are sound, they're based in love for the highest and greatest good of everyone. So we are all uplifted in love. We are going to see what God, Source, Holy Spirit, our higher selves, angels, and energies of love have for the highest and greatest good of all, everybody that's in this situation here, and try to see everything here from a spiritual and healing perspective. If anything here feels triggering for you, feel free to click off. It just might not be your reading. I do feel like this is going to be for a more specific group, especially because one of the main issues or energies is this love triangle. So let's see what's going on here. I'm going to show you kind of the pockets of energy that is the foundation. So first pocket of energy is there is somebody, whether this is you, somebody else, or somebody you or somebody else is connected to, that is very much pretending to be uninterested, and yet they're looking you up. This could be you also looking up somebody else, kind of playing it cool and calm and collected and nonchalant, but that's not really the inner workings of the energy here, because somebody's attention is very much on somebody else, trying to see what's going on in their life, trying to get some information. Maybe that's because information or connection is being withheld. It could also be that for some of you, just an extra message. If this scenario down here is long, far, and gone out of your life, this could be a new energy that is coming in. So for some of you, this could be a new person. They're kind of, playing it cool on the surface, but maybe they are really curious, really interested, and really want to know what you're all about. So this could be for some of you, somebody you don't even know. Maybe you're an acquaintance. Maybe this is even a friend, but you didn't know how interested they are in you. But somebody who's studying you in some way. I do feel like whoever is watching you, I don't get a weird energy from whoever this is. The energy feels hyper curious, almost in awe, maybe even astonished, a little surprised. I'm even getting maybe even a little nervous, but that could be because of butterflies, or somebody is nervous because they're afraid they're losing something, or something's happening that they have lack of control over. So that is one little pocket or scenario of energy. In the middle here, so I do feel like there is somebody, maybe more than one person here, and somebody's ego is bruised, their ego is hurt, but I don't feel like this hurt is stemming from a deep soulful place. It feels like somebody feels like they were bruised because their reputation is going to be tarnished, or what will they say, or how will they be seen. It feels superficial, especially because it came out with this big ass fake smile. So it's somebody that's very good at putting on a mask, showing that they are perfectly fine, happy, that they are kind and loving, but there's something underneath the surface. That's where the book, even this girl's holding a book, there's something where the cover of the book doesn't match the story going on inside. And most of that story, I feel like when I look at that book, it kind of looks like it's, complicated, it's a big story there, but I feel like you open it up and when you see those fake books and you open it up and there's like a hole in it so you can hide something in it. Maybe this person is hiding something, but I see like the cliff notes in there, like the kind of shortcut, superficial, not really that deep. And I feel like it's not that this person isn't deep, but I feel like they are not in tune or willing to really dive deep in themselves, in their situation, or maybe in the truth of somebody else or a connection. It's not that they don't have the capacity to be deep, but they choose to be, like, I don't know. I see like reruns actually, like the old rerun version of themselves, like replaying that same episode instead of getting to the part 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So there is somebody who is pretending that they are happy, but they're not. And this ego bruise or this ego hurt might require an ego death, a reality check. And whoever has this ego, situation, they're getting in the way of either their own relationship or something that could be truly valuable or had potential to be in their life, but they're self-sabotaging it, worried about, the superficial world out there. Or perhaps it's what they were always taught and they feel like they are doing things by the book. And yet maybe it's internal where they know there's a disconnect. They don't like the words that they're writing. They don't feel either in charge of their own narrative or they're writing their narrative, but their thoughts are somewhere else. It doesn't feel like their truth. It feels like they're living in somebody else's story. Now, I'm going to tell this message in a very neutral setting because the message came through and it is what it is, and I'm just the messenger here. So there is somebody who's in a marriage or in a partnership or in a connection or in a probably more of a contract, an agreement, because they are more concerned with money than love. Maybe this is somebody that doesn't give a shit if they're in a partnership that has love in it, as long as they're secure and they feel like they don't have anything to worry about. Everyone can choose to be in a partnership or a connection for whatever they choose, as long as the other person is, in sync and on the same page as they are. It's when somebody else is on a different page and thinks they're in a totally different, story. It's like, oh, I'm page 42. I'm on page 42, but you're in 2 different books here. You're not, writing this narrative together at all. So if this person is with somebody that does not care that they are only involved in that partnership for marriage, that's perfectly dandy. I would say there's probably wouldn't be a love triangle situation going on over here though, if that was the case. So it also feels like somebody, either the person that is really concerned about the finances or the security. Now look, there's sometimes where somebody maybe grew up in a certain manner where it could have been taught, or maybe somebody had a lot of lack or a lot of, like situations in their life where people didn't stay. So to feel like they have security, they have a home, or they know the bills are taken care of and they're getting by might be just enough for somebody. There is no judgment on that situation, but because of the other cards here, it doesn't feel like it's actually even happy. Because you can be in a situation that's not in love with your person's situation, but be satisfied, be happy, be content. It doesn't feel like this is authentic. It does feel very artificial. It does feel very surface level. It does feel very egotistical and mundane 3D world, which can connect to that root chakra, which is tapping into scarcity, survival. And sometimes that's what somebody is learning as a soul. Maybe they've had lifetimes where they just need to survive. They need to get by. That is really important. So in that case, if somebody has found a partner where, they don't have that worry, then that could be healthy for someone. But if somebody is not learning with that survival energy that perhaps they still have to maintain or learn a sense of independence, tap into who they can still become, even if they are in a partnership where another is supporting them. If they don't have something going on, they are going to always feel like they're in lack, because they're living a whole life never really in tune with who they could become. You don't live your whole life just being here to survive. You're here because God wants you to thrive. And if this is somebody learning about how could they thrive on their own, maybe it does start with being in a place where they found that security. But if they're in the position where now with that security, they still are lazy and never try anything on their own or really find that sense of who they are or what their, soul is calling them to do, it's like they set the bar too low for themselves and never continued to grow. And it does look like whoever is in this situation feels like they're wasting their time. Time just flies by. What did they do with their day? Never finding something that they're into. It could also be where somebody else is connected to a person. I'm even getting that the only time they really get upset is when it's concerning the finances or when it's concerning money. It's almost like they perhaps don't even care so much about other situations or even feelings. But the money is what really, rubs them the wrong way. It really makes their blood boil. So if there is somebody notices, it's kind of weird, all this weird stuff can happen over here regarding someone's heart, their happiness, drama, but as long as they put on that pretty little smile, or, ignore something. I feel like even with that watch, it's just like, it's like ignorance to what's right in front of them. They'd rather just ignore it, like sticking their head under the sand and pretending nothing's going on around their ass, than address a situation. But if somebody feels stuck, there's no changes, they're limited, they set that bar too low, or they're not seeing that maybe there's somebody who could be an equal. Even if this was somebody that they were with that they feel has more security or is the provider in some way, that person would probably be a lot happier if there was an exchange of maybe even teacher-student, where you believe in each other on an equal, level. Maybe you give to each other differently. Maybe one is providing in a different way energetically than maybe just the finances. There can be equal exchange as long as it's equal exchange of energy. But this person's just sitting pretty here with their, with their gold and their fancy outfit on. They don't look happy, and there's something that's limiting about this partnership. It feels like it gets stuck at the plateau, like it doesn't have any growth. Maybe there is security or stability, but I feel like it was never built past that foundation. It doesn't have multifacets that a partnership could have. So maybe somebody feels like they wasted their time with somebody that was there for other purposes than they signed up for, or somebody may have discovered this more and more as a partnership, unfolded. But it could also be that somebody was okay with that in the beginning and changed, especially if they tapped into their spirit and a little bit out of ego. And if somebody has learned to combine the two, the 5D with the 3D, that's somebody who's really bridging all of those possibilities and those energies together and has like exponential potential. Hold on, card fell. So on the other side over here, there is definitely a situation where there was, is, or possibly could be, and maybe this is just in fantasy. It doesn't have to be, in the foundation of what's solid and has happened experience-wise. Sometimes that fantasy in someone's mind is just as real as the actual experience. But I am getting a little bit of fantasy energy, but maybe somebody's fantasizing of something different than fake energy over here. Somebody wants something real, but somebody could also be in a love triangle with their job. So if there's somebody that's in a situation that's just surface level, not really that deep, you know, somebody doesn't even act interested in what they did that day. If somebody's really into their job, into their career, into being a provider, and that's not masculine or feminine, that's anybody. That could just be somebody that's really into not wasting their time and tapping into their talents, tapping into, you know, their story being rich and complex and the things that they want to try. And if someone else is like, yeah, that's nice. How was your day, honey? And just not really asking questions or being really interested, then even if this is somebody wanting to work to fill in those blank, you know, spaces of whoever's uninterested, this is somebody who wants to put their attention somewhere where it feels like they are seen, where it feels like they are valued, where it feels like they can at least have that truthful energy. But if somebody is not being truthful with themselves and thinking they can, if this is another person, be one way with one person and a completely different way with a different person, this is somebody that needs to get out of their ego, put their big girl, big boy pants on, address the part of their life that they are not happy with. And if it cannot be fixed, if nothing is changing, they need to really end something before they begin something with somebody else. Especially if they feel like that other person is a true connection. Because that's already starting a connection that's not built on stable ground, even if it had all the spiritual potential in the world. So maybe it is up to a third party to cut something off and disconnect if they don't feel that, you know, they're really getting somebody's full attention. And it could be that somebody has their work, and that is the third party. Somebody has a family, and that is the third party. Somebody has, you know, a weird friend group, and that is the third party. The societal standards could be the third party. It could be anything. It's an outside source that's getting in between one connection. So somebody has to evaluate what the connection that is the most meaningful is and how to balance all the energies together. Because if somebody wants to give connection to a person that they truly love to be around, they feel like themselves with, but all their attention is going to work and they're not making any room, it's going to be imbalanced in that partnership. If somebody wants to, you know, work on a connection here that is a little more contractual, and then they find something that is deep and they scurry away or get scared of something that's deep because they're more comfortable, because something's surface level, if it goes away, then it doesn't hurt as much. But I feel like there's so many strings attached to this situation over here that almost make it harder for somebody to disconnect. Just because it's harder doesn't mean it's not worth it. If it's a harder situation, it's a bigger growth in yourself. It taps you into that deep storage to be in your inner truth. So somebody could just be hot. Honestly, like there could be a lot of people that kiss somebody's ass because they got it going on. You know, they're stable, they're secure, they have a, you know, they act like they're cool and chill and nothing bothers them and they don't need to have anything serious. They could have anything they want. They have all the options in the world. Maybe this person does have a great personality, or they are very much loved by everyone they meet. And it could be where somebody was just used to getting whatever they want, and perhaps somebody met somebody over here that they actually really like. It could be somebody really deep, somebody really special, more than the cliff notes of that book, but they've never gotten past the cliff notes. They never read the real Shakespeare, you know? I don't know why I just saw like a Romeo and Juliet situation. So it could even be where somebody was the forbidden lover, or families are colliding and don't get along, so they have to be separate. It doesn't change the true love or desire that those people really want to be together. But if you twist that into modern times, maybe it's not worrying about what the family says, and it's being strong enough to know that you're at a time you can do whatever you want. You can choose to be with the person you love, especially if there is love in a situation. It does look like somebody either was kissing somebody's ass, or maybe many people. But I feel like there's somebody else that refuses to. Like, they're like, I'm not kissing your ass. You know, I'll give you an honest compliment, but I'm not going to kiss your ass to get something. I don't want anything. So I feel like whoever is kissing ass is that fake smile that wants something. So it means there's foul intentions. It could also be that somebody didn't stay with a person that, you know, they're used to getting their butt kissed, and all of a sudden there's this person not really giving them attention, so they took their attention elsewhere. But I kind of feel like the one that didn't give as much attention is probably the one that is the most intriguing to this person, especially if they get a lot of attention. Like, why is that person different? You know, don't they want something? Probably not. But if this is a triangle now, right, with two people that both want something from the other, and there's no love there, and whoever the person is that is at the top of that pyramid, that person may be a player. So maybe just be aware of that situation. Maybe there's nothing that's really serious there. Maybe there's something that just looks good for their job, for their friends, for their family over here, but they continue to go after superficial situations because that would be a person supposedly at the top of that triangle, but they're never addressing their core issues. They're substituting something. They're in an energy that's more like, it's addiction. Addiction to the attention, addiction to needing to be wanted, addiction to, you know, going into something before the last thing has been healed, because they never have that inner reflection on their own issues that need to be looked at, addressed, and healed in self-reflection and self-responsibility. I don't even know how many minutes this is. So, like I said, I don't use these cards very much, but they are rather rough. So let's just go to another deck. This is also pretty raw of a deck. This is the, what's the vibe? So let's ask what the vibe of this love triangle and or third party. Now, sometimes a third party can be someone's mom, a mom that wants control, a mom that doesn't want to see their son or their daughter be with somebody else, you know, and all of a sudden they're doing things different. They're not asking, you know, mommy, what's going on? Or it could be daddy issues as well. It could be a child that wants all the attention, and, you know, I don't know. I'm kind of getting, with children, I guess it's kind of harder because they don't have that self-responsibility yet. It should be up to the adult to set a good example. But if their example is to just have a big fake smile and pretend everything's okay, I don't know if that's the best example to set. Nor is putting, I don't know. Let's just see what's going on here. Clarify. Let's go for the uninterested / looking you up, studying you, and getting information. Who's pretending to be uninterested? I also feel like if some of you are the one that found out you were in a third-party situation, I feel like that made you uninterested. Like, nope, sorry. And I do feel like some of you disconnected yourself from that situation, no matter how much kissing ass maybe this person did to you. Or it could be that somebody plays that card of being, you know, not happy, or the other person is so bad and they're not understood and you're the only one that understands me. I still feel like even if there was a truth in those emotions or that situation, I feel like a lot of you were like, nah, that's great. You know, I feel for you, man, but don't want to be involved in some weird triangle dynamic. You need to clean your shit up first. And even if you stayed friends with this person, I do feel like that person felt that loss. So let's see why. Somebody is just uninterested, searching you, studying you, getting info. It could also be if somebody, even if a third party is just an ex, this does not have to be a person somebody's currently with. You know, this could be somebody that is a baby mommy, baby daddy, former girlfriend, former boyfriend, former, you know, ex. I just heard ex-fiance. That was very specific. But, you know, an ex-partner of some kind. And especially if somebody is tied to them in some way with money, then there's probably still some kind of attachment or responsibility in that situation. Maybe for some of you, it's somebody completely unattached. They were telling the truth. They really don't have any connection with that person other than it being somebody from their past, but that doesn't mean that that person is not still energetically tethered or obsessing over your person. And if they find out about you, that probably is, you know, being tossed your way at who is it that their person is now with. You know, are they more handsome or more pretty than me? Do they have more money? Are they, you know, doing a better job? Like trying to find out, you know, they're comparing apples to oranges. And I'm also getting that you really can't compare or you can't compete. So maybe this person feels like they were competing over you. Or maybe they don't even know how to. So clarify uninterested and looking you up. Maybe somebody's going out. Somebody's trying to substitute, like nightlife. It's like somebody feels like they gambled with something. Nightlife, doing a little, you know, whatever, little strip tease. And it's like Vegas energy. Vegas energy is that, what's that? Like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So this could be somebody who's keeping something a secret. It could also be someone who's like really wishing for a thrill, or I feel like somebody wants to be turned on, honestly. So whoever's looking you up, they're acting unbothered, but they probably find you super hot. I also feel like there could be somebody else that's doing their best to put on the hots, you know, kiss their ass, maybe even do a little, you know, little schmoozing over there. But I kind of feel like the turning on thing is not, I don't feel like somebody's getting turned on by it. I actually feel like, I don't know, I feel like it feels awkward and pushed. And I feel like maybe your energy where you could be doing the laundry, you know, riding in the car, cooking dinner. I feel like whatever, I mean, maybe if you like really, you know, turn it on and do a little dance, you definitely turn this person on. But I feel like you didn't even need to do anything to turn this person on. So maybe there's somebody that feels threatened by that. Or there's somebody that, you know, feels really turned on by you and they're trying to cover it up or keep themselves self-contained. So let's ask why there's wasting time and marrying for money. Tell us deeper on what that situation is. Please and thank you. Nope, that went back. Tell us about wasting time, marrying for money. Whatever I said about thrills, that's segueing right into this wasting time, no changes, limited. It's somebody who's addicted to money. Somebody who gets in karmic cycles or a continuous cycle for what they believe is value. But I don't feel like it's wealth. I feel like their idea of wealth is different. It's somebody who either made a bad decision or keeps making bad decision. And it's the energy of addiction. You know, if somebody has gambling over here, there could be that somebody that like likes that quick thrill. You know, they want the immediate results, the instant gratification, but then they're making choices that aren't long lasting or truly valuable in the end. It's like chasing that thrill and then you get that dip after the sugar rush. Let's ask about her ego. I also feel like somebody could be hurting because they let their ego get in the way. You know, they were a slave or a sucker to the fake smile. And if they let something real get in the way or let it go or self-sabotaged it, I feel like somebody's kicking their own ass. Or kicking themselves in the ass. because I do feel like that could have been someone that was sticking their head in the sand before, brushing something under the rug, you know, stuffing it in that fancy book. Tell us about ego and fake smile, please. Tell us about the ego and the fake smile. I don't always do these raw readings, and I find that I definitely need to meditate both before and after I do them, because whoever story or energy I'm tapping into, we're going to get this. We're going to get healing from this and see what would lift this up, because there's a healing lesson in the weirdest scenarios, the roughest situations. And I like to do these readings to heal, not to be lower vibration and not to be in gossip energy or not to overly focus on what's not going right. There's always a purpose that comes back to you to uplift you, to elevate you, to give you a spiritual perspective, to even, you know, change the way you were thinking about someone or something and have more inner standing. Because, you know, life's complicated. So let's see about the ego, the fake smile, hurt ego getting in the way of relationships. I don't think this is the first time somebody's ego has gotten in the way of something they could have had that could have been really real, deep, and true. You know, somebody either needs to learn to be alone, look at themselves and their big fake smile in the mirror, open that book and make that story and narrative a lot deeper, or somebody continually rejects maybe something that was a gift from God in their life. Like, here you go, you want something real? You're meant to have this soulmate. You're meant to, you know, tap into your hidden talent or your deeper purpose to fulfill what your life path should be, not to get in continuous cycles. You're supposed to be out of that karmic situation years ago. So if somebody is always rejecting, or if there's somebody that has this fake smile because they're so insecure or really scared of being rejected, that could be a really deep fear that somebody has. They'd rather be there in their fake ass self than be left alone, because they've never had the chance to see who they really are alone or put self-love into themselves. It's always on someone else, on their children, on their friends, on their job, on their honey, everybody but them. So, and sometimes it's like it kind of flips around the opposite way. You know, sometimes it's a little bit of, I don't want, like, you know, diagnose anyone here, but a little more of the narcissist kind of energy, where it's all kind of very selfish energy. And even if it's selfish and, you know, they're really caring about themselves, now they're not really caring about the other. You know, how somebody truly feels, what they really desire, if they're really hurting. So if the cheese ends up standing alone here anyway, you cut it. So rejected, feeling alone, and it's self-inflicted. You know, somebody's choosing to have that mask on or stay where they have to. So, I mean, it says here, her ego's getting in the way. Now, we have ego to keep us safe, but that's going back to that, you know, that survival energy. So if you'd have something that hurt you in the past, or it was a repetitive pattern, or a weird family dynamic as a kid, or a bully that, you know, bullied you in junior high, or something like that, now you have a defense mechanism that your brain gets triggered with, you know, especially if this is like maybe, you know, an attached avoidant kind of energy, you know, because when something happens, it's like, ooh, trigger, warning, you know, red flag, that must be like everything else. Then there's like a shutdown. You know, it's like your neural pathways get all wonkadoo and you end up blocking something off, you think, in your mind out of protection. But it's because it's never getting to the root of the actual issue. So maybe somebody needs to be in some isolation or choose to do some healing on their own, or even around the right people that show a different vibration than this false stuff over here. You know, if they're around people that are independent, that are supportive, that are in the energy of high vibration, unconditional love, see the potential in somebody, but also don't want to reach out and make somebody better, because somebody that is a true spiritual teacher recognizes that you can give the lesson, you can lead by example, lead that horse to the water. It's up to them to drink that shit. You know, it's not up for somebody else to, you know, I don't know why I saw I just saw the weirdest, okay, I'm not even gonna say it. I just saw somebody like drinking up the water and like putting it in someone else's mouth, but that with 2 horses, that was really weird. So you do have this energy of isolation. I feel like for some of you, if you didn't want to be around some fake smiles or some heavy ego, you probably had to maybe even isolate yourself from a weird crowd or from this situation or from a specific person. And that probably was hard. And if this is somebody self-sabotaged, that probably felt like huge rejection. You probably even had times where you're questioning, did you do something wrong? You know, it was going so well. What happened in the situation? You know, is this person working? You know, are they with their family? Did their ex come back? Whatever it is. And you're probably wondering, especially if this person was good with the smile, but not with communication. So let's ask about love triangle, third party, multiple choices or multiple lovers and choices. And then this kissing ass. I feel like if somebody comes back and they're kissing your ass, make sure their actions match their pretty words. Otherwise, do have, you know, your little antennas up. Because maybe somebody thinks they can come and bring some pretty flowers, say some sweet things, and they'll make everything okay. Somebody hasn't healed or hasn't really, like, you know, tapped into and had awareness on their continuous cycle, bad decisions, or repetitive behavior, especially if it's unhealthy. You need to love yourself and take the healthy approach or direction, whatever that is for you. And if somebody does come back in and they're not just kissing your ass, but they're true, you feel their soul, you know there's changes that are happening, you know they're trying to be a better person, to tap into their spirituality, to see a different side of a story, to really have an authentic smile and not be afraid to have the ugliest face ever if they really want to cry, then that's actually kind of beautiful. But that's going to be a transition that's going to probably take some time. So this is up to you. So let's see what the love triangle third party choices. I mean, you have choices here and you have somebody that made bad decisions over here. So obviously there's somebody that made the wrong choice or continues to. Maybe with everybody involved in this situation. But that's also on you. Also on you. Where are you in this? And what were your choices? Would you make the same choice? Would you change something? You know, if it was the same pattern or the same scenario, or would you make a different choice if the scenario was different? What role did you play? You can't just look at somebody else's situation, not have that reflection on yourself. That's where the biggest strength will come in. So love triangle and kissing some booty. Who's kissing somebody's booty? It's funny, now I see the ostrich with the head in the sand, weirdness going around their ass, and someone's like, no, it's fine, I'm kissing the ostrich's ass. Like, everything's fine in here, everything's dandy. It's like, and then there's like freaking chaos going on in the room, but they only feel that little kiss, they think it's fine. Ooh, that's weird. That was I'm just getting these weird pictures today. Yeah, somebody knows they burned a bridge, or somebody needs to light that match, start a fire, have the energy of, you know, because fire is, it's like, you know, I want to say deconstruction, but it's more than that. You know, it's burning something to the ground, so there's a solid foundation that can be built upon. If there is, I mean, there's a love triangle here, so there's somebody who's disloyal. Probably every bridge is going to get burned in that situation, you know. And if there's somebody that's like, it's okay, it's fine, and they pretend it's not there, then, you know, that shows a lot about who that person is, accepting less than they deserve. Maybe it doesn't matter to them as long as the person stays, if they're so scared of somebody leaving. There are so many issues like as an undercurrent with this whole situation here. But if there's lack of trust, yeah, you know, if you don't know if this person was truthful to you or not, what they were actually saying to someone else or at their job, if that was the truth or not. You know, is it one person that's getting the truth and one person that is not? Or is it just not truth to anybody? So that would leave somebody in a big old, question over here. So if you feel like somebody turned their back on you and a door is shut, go your own way, know your own worth, stand up for yourself, and let that bridge burn. For some of you, it's water under the bridge, jumping in and going with the flow as something unfolds, as something changes, as something grows. But I feel like for a lot of you, you are looking for a spiritual partnership. You want something with depth. You don't want it to be some shallow-ass river under the bridge. You want it to lead to that ocean of emotion and, ultimate possibilities. Not to have a tethering to that bridge and you never actually get anywhere, even though you're constantly feeling that current. So it could be where somebody also with that fiery energy is turned back on all of a sudden. It is possible this is somebody that just does do it for you. They do turn you on. But how is that connection in your spirit feel, regardless of what your body is saying? I did say something about you turning someone on. So there is somebody that feels turned on by you. Maybe they thought that bridge was gone, and as soon as they see you, as soon as they speak to you, as soon as they feel the depth which is you, they can't even understand why you light that spiritual fire in their soul and how that is so different from the chemistry or the obsession that they've ever felt in their life. There's not going to be a comparison to something that is deep in someone's soul, especially if there is a soulmate energy here or a soul connection. You can have a true soul connection where you are supposed to have this miraculous, beautiful chapter or whole book, whole story for the rest of your life with a certain person. But free will is part of our path down here. And if someone's free will is not making correct or positive decisions, that can separate or change somebody's path. And if somebody has made a free will choice that now does not include you, and you felt like there was a soul connection, you don't know what the heck happened, you would have given everything to this person, but they are not giving back to you. You need to give all that energy to yourself, refocus on your own path, because you are still going to be in that energy where you're going to magnetically attract. There's not just one soulmate. You'll attract the right person if that's what you desire. Or sometimes it's not what you desire. You're like, fuck that shit. I'm not doing any more drama anymore. I just want to be happy and secure in my own life, support myself, do my projects, do my own thing, love myself, be around the people I choose to be around because they make me happy. And I don't want any more of that weird dramatic love shit. And you know what? You're going to probably find that person first. That's probably how it'll work. You're not looking for it at all. And boom, there they are. And you're like, be open. And trust yourself. Trust that your higher self knows. That God, you have the whole universe says. And, if some of you do feel like there is a connection that is just unlike any you've ever experienced, and no matter how many people you meet, it's just not comparable, then maybe that person really needs some time. But that time is probably also in a soul contract to be a gift for you. So if you are gifted time and you have separation from a person, what are you doing for yourself? Take that energy off of them and back onto you. That is probably your soul lesson right now. And you have something that is going to turn you back on as well. Whether that's a project, or maybe even just a friend you have a lot of fun with, or a person coming into your life. I do feel like a lot of you, because it has this multiple, choices here. I do feel like with this hot kind of energy, a lot of you are hotties. Especially if your smile and your energy is genuine and authentic. You don't even have to be what, society or whatever, or even you consider like absolutely beautiful or totally handsome, but there's something still hot about you. Your personality, your energy, your charisma, the way you do something, the way you move, who you are. People are attracted to all kinds of things. So I do feel like a lot of you have more people attracted to you than maybe you're giving yourself credit for, or maybe you do know people are attracted to you. But I still feel like no matter how many options are placed in front of you, the difference between these energies is You know, there's somebody here that only wants the trophy. They only want the best option for their own purposes. There's someone else that maybe is, you know, lacking or has insecurities with themselves, and, you know, maybe takes every option that they can because that's just better than something that is deep, that one that is big. But I feel like you maybe have many options, but you're not going to take what you don't really connect with. If it doesn't feel like a soul connection, I don't feel like you just want to have a lot of, you know, suitors or go on a lot of dates. I feel like even if you allow yourself to go out there, go on a couple dates, if you don't feel a connection, I feel like you maybe continue with a friendship, but I feel like you want something that's deep. You're watching this channel. You don't want something that's a superficial, you know, surface level scenario or situation. You want the real thing. Otherwise, why bother? You know, because you're probably pretty strong on your own. But if you're also watching a spiritual channel, it's because you are learning a lot about yourself on this journey. But you are so much ahead of so many people because you're willing to change. You're willing to grow. You really want to know. You know, and once you really tune into that deep self-awareness and understanding, that's when everything in your life changes. And you should be proud of yourself. So, it's these readings. I always need like a little breath or a break. So I need to meditate. I'm going to get some tarot. We're going to continue on. Hold on. It's interesting. I wanted to get the tarot, and for some reason I kept gravitating back to the tea leaf. So these are rather general. Let's get you a couple general messages to be helpful for what's going on in your energy right now, or what you need to have extra awareness on and of. So I'm going to do this in 2 halves. So what are some extra messages for the collective that would be helpful today? Please and thank you. Guess what it is? This is in the cards quite literally for you if that's what you desire. Or if the right person comes in and suddenly it's now what you desire. You do have this energy of a ring, which is a union. Do you know how many cards are here? Like 200. And they're all over the place with messages. So you got this marriage coming in. And for some of you, this could be a person. Oh, I forgot how little. Hold on, I forgot how little these words are. For some of you, it is a marriage that will take place. Spirit is telling you it will happen with the right person. But it could also be a marriage of romance. And for some of you, it could be a marriage that involves business. So you could find your business partner. You know, maybe for some of you, you take your energy out of love land and, you know, you don't need to marry for money. Somebody's going to be looking at you like you're the catch. But I do feel like if you catch somebody, they're just as powerful and strong as you. I am seeing a power couple now. Maybe you're really different, but somehow you are a powerhouse together. And you have, you know, maybe this is just you in union with what you are doing on a project in your business, starting a new business, doing something on your own, and you're gonna really shine. I feel like for some reason, whatever you're doing, you're really gonna connect to not just people in general, but the right people, the right customers, the right clients, the right fan base, the right, I actually see like a fan club for some of you, like your soul family. So let's get, I can't believe that came out. It was twinkling. That's another message. Let's get 2 from each half. So what is one more from this half helpful for the collective right now? Because you're a star. I just saw you having fans. Even if this is just you shining like a star, recognizing you are your own universe. You are light, you know, has a different frequency and is unique. It's different than anybody else in the world. There's no need to compare you to anybody. It's you not only having a marriage in your life or having a happy marriage, if that's what you want, or within yourself, you're also guaranteed success. And whatever it is, you both put your energy in and have faith in the universe with. Let's go to the other half. What else would be helpful for the collective right now? Please and thank you. Oh, you got a tent. So whatever you're doing, this situation's gonna change. There's something that's gonna move. There's something that is mobile here. It's not a solid foundation and gonna stay there forever, even if it's a really cool yurt. There's something about you moving your yurt. And it's telling you you are protected in this situation. I am seeing this now, like I'm seeing like a spirit quest, or like I'm seeing very ancient like medicine with this. I think it's called a spirit quest, when you like go in the tent and you make it really hot and you don't eat and you figure out like what your spirit animal is and what your soul name is. So I kind of feel like maybe there was a sauna kind of situation, a little hot in a situation, or maybe it was really cold, but I just did think of Wim Hof. But whatever it is, it's temporary. The season's going to change. You know, your situation is going to change. You are going to come out of something different. I also feel like whatever this is that you are continuing on, it's just a tent. You're not picking up the whole house like Superman. There's something where it's going to be a lot lighter than you think to move along or to continue. And there's also something where I'm kind of getting that you can pack something away, but I see a pop-up tent. So if your tent was one of those weird pieces of furniture that you get delivered on Amazon, and you're like, there are so many instructions and nuts and screws and bolts and whatever, and you're like, I don't even know how to put this thing together. Wherever you're going, it's going to be like you hit the button, you're like, boop, back in track, back on track, back in action. There's also something where maybe since you've done something one time, maybe the next time, if it is a little complicated, something gets easier. You put it together different. I feel like, I don't know why, it's almost like I see a tent in the past. You like forgot to take some of the poles with you in the bag, so it was kind of up, but I see the ceiling kind of like falling down on your head. Maybe kept you out of the rain, but maybe next time bring all those poles. I will just say, extra message here. I will just say for some of you, I mean, this does say striptease. I did just think of poles. So, I mean, maybe some of you are doing something kind of cool. I do see somebody taking like a very sexy pole dancing class. I mean, maybe that's something you just do to tap into your sexiness, your spirituality. Like taking it's not really dogma, but taking the negative energy out of something that could be a beautiful expression. But I feel like it's still for personal reasons. It's not for gain of something that leaves you feeling empty. So let's see. And I feel like I had to come in with a neutral message, because quite frankly, I don't think there's anything wrong about any job that you choose. I feel like it's more about the integrity you exude. So, I don't know. I feel like the extra message needs to come through to be non-judgmental on what somebody chooses to do. And I do feel like somebody who maybe went into something for one reason, but did it to help themselves get through something, gain more stability, or to transform in their life. I feel like that person is going to do that. If that makes sense to you, you'll understand that message. But I feel like somebody's intention was to transform, not to get stuck. And if somebody's starting to feel stuck, they need to learn how to get into that transform. Use something as that stepping stone and embody that. Embody that, embrace it. Don't feel any need to be embarrassed by it, especially if you're growing from a situation. There is that song, and this is giving me goosey. So this is for somebody. Maybe even if this is how you feel, or you had judgmental energy on somebody else. Quite frankly, I was in New York City. I was friends with everyone. everybody. I knew celebrities, I knew presidents' daughters, I knew strippers, I knew drag queens, you know, everybody, you know, and I just cared about who the person was, you know, not what they did. So I'm getting that song, I think it's called Rockabye. If you're curious, maybe I don't know who sings it, but I do remember I liked, and it's giving me goosey, so I do remember I liked the video. So let's continue. That was extra that came through. Did not expect that. All right, what else would be helpful? Please and thank you. We got a jug. I was just talking about sassy energy. Now we got someone's jug coming out. Of course, this went weird at the end here. But you don't have just a little cup here. You got a whole damn jug. So this is where you have to be in this energy of lightening up. You know, it's a lighthearted, carefree time where you release the need to know, you know, that energy of worry or a lack or overanalyzing. This is not just, you know, the half glass empty. You got the jug completely full here. So let's I remember I had a friend one time, I don't know why I just thought of this, and I was carrying these, you know, I was carrying these big things of olives, and like my friend used to be like, nice jugs. So corny. I don't know why I thought of that. All right, let's do one more. What is one more from this? Please and thank you. And a knot. Unsuccessful plans, but there's going to be a temporary situation. Also, when I think of the marriage, isn't that called like tying the knot? Well, maybe this knot was supposed to become untied. Sometimes things become broken or weak or, you know, cut away, whether it's by choice or the universe or somebody else's free will choice, because there's something else that won't feel like a tug of war. You know, if anything was an unsuccessful plan, time to change the plan. Time to be more open to something flowing in its own unfolding. There's also something about that knot. If it's like a really tight knot, it might need a gentle approach to get it, you know, unsever, or to sever it, or to get it, you know, unrestricted. Like I'm thinking of like a hair knot, but sometimes you just gotta cut that shit out. Just cut it out, start fresh. I also am getting something with hair. For some of you, maybe it's cutting your hair, because your hair, your nails, all have, not residue, but imprint of the energy that we have gone through for that amount of time that, you know, you were going through something. That's why sometimes when people go through a breakup, sometimes they tell themselves, oh, I just need a change. But there's usually a spiritual undertone to something like that, where like they're like, no, I need a change. I need to release myself from all the energy that you were, you know, attached to, and really have that fresh new, you know, that fresh new vibe of who you are now and what you are moving towards. So maybe some of you are chopping your hair off. If you see somebody that's done that, even if they don't know that's the reason, that might have, you know, a spiritual undertone to why somebody just needs to, you know, clip. Yeah, I see somebody getting rid of their extensions. That was really weird. All right, tarot. Take a little break. I'm gonna go get it. All right, I grabbed the summer holiday tarot because, quite frankly, just holding this tarot deck makes me happy. It's just pretty much the cutest tarot deck that I own. And we're gonna end this reading with advice that Spirit has very specifically for you, whether you're a cross watcher or this is your reading. This is going to be advice for you. So what is the advice right now today for whoever's connecting to this reading? Also, I know this reading was kind of big and heavy. If any of you do feel like you know, this can help somebody, I would very much appreciate a thumbs up. Figure out the YouTube algorithm thing, but also just as a thank you to me, maybe appreciation. I have appreciation for you, and that's something really simple you can do just to let me know that you're enjoying these readings, the messages that come through, and like the genuine time, energy, and heart I put into this to really be helpful, because that is my intention. It's not to just give you information. I hope that at least with my readings, you learn, that I teach, that I empower, and that I help you realize that everybody is psychic. All of us. We're all one. We're all one. We're all connected. So it's being in tune with these energies and really believing in yourself, believing in the connection you have to God, because that's where the answer is. So thank you. All right, let's get you some clarity. What is the biggest message to be helpful for the collective, please and thank you? That you need to get back to work. You need to work on yourself. You need to pay attention to what you are focusing your energy, effort, time, and attention on in your everyday world, because there's something that you are supposed to be starring at in your life. You're supposed to be the star player in your life. You're not supposed to be in a supporting role in your own, in your own book. So the Eight of Pentacles is where you put your effort into something diligently, or sometimes it's just going to a weekend seminar where you learn something, you use that information. Sometimes this is 5 minutes of meditation a day, or a little, you want to, tap into your psychic skills. It's doing a little bit every day. Or, picking a card. I don't know why I see you working on your spiritual gifts, but this could also be you going back to school. This could be you being an apprentice, putting a lot of energy and effort into something where maybe in the beginning you don't make the big old buckos, but maybe it's not wasting your time when it's bringing you a valuable skill. Or, especially if you're apprenticing under a trade where the only way to get that skill is to work with someone that knows what they're doing. So you get to know what you're doing. Maybe you're the one actually teaching. Maybe some of you are beginning to paint. The first painting's kind of weird. And the next one's a little better. Then the next one's even better. And then now you're not painting by number anymore. You're actually doing something, looking at a photograph. And then maybe you end up painting and you do it from the images or imagination in your mind. You don't even need to see the picture in front of you. It's where you get better. Your skill gets better at something, but it's not going to get better without the effort, without the energy. If this has to do with a union, whether that's the business or with the right person, it's putting the right effort into that partnership. 100%, 100%. Not 10% and like 90%. And that 100% energy, you have to allow yourself the grace that through different days, different cycles in your life, sometimes you don't have that much energy to give. Sometimes you're just freaking tired, and that's okay. You do the best you can with the situation you're in and the energy you have. And if you feel depleted, put the energy back in yourself. Sometimes, if you're overworking, you need to take a day off. You need to oversleep a little bit. Listen to your body, especially with sleep. I don't know why I'm getting that with this. If it is upside down, I always get that energy. It's like you want to be a pilot. I want to be a pilot. So I'm going to sign up and take 1 3-hour, class up in the sky, maybe once every 2 months. It's going to take you like 40 years to actually have the amount of hours you need to have that be autopilot underneath to actually be a good pilot. So you need to see what it is you're putting attention to, how much time you accurately really do need to realistically put into it, and adjust accordingly. So, but this is perfecting your skill, perfecting your talent, having something that gives back to you, because it's an 8. So that does bring abundance back into your world. Sometimes it's pretty quick, but it lasts long, and sometimes it is a long stretch before it comes in, but you know, when it finally comes in, it comes through, I hear in huge waves. So maybe something comes in waves for some of you. Interesting that they also have them hanging up, and I have my wind chimes going on outside. Maybe it's the wind chimes, maybe it's the frequency, maybe the winds of change are going to be blowing. I really wanted to do this reading at the creek, but it has rained so much. All of my rocks are now officially gone. And I tried to even get up to one where I could kind of see it. And the current was so strong, I couldn't even move. I actually did do a little swimming, and it was like I was in an, not an endless pool, but the pools that are like the treadmill pool. And I was like, wow, I'm not even getting anywhere. I guess I'll do some exercise. Tell us about the Eight of Pentacles. If this is somebody coming in your life, this is somebody putting effort into you as well. And if they do not, then, you know, and somebody had big plans but feels unsuccessful, it could be a slight disappointment in that situation, but you're going to where you have guaranteed success. So go for the open doors. Follow your joy. Follow your truth. What else? Sometimes these readings are more heavy on the oracle, and you know, I stopped having like judgmental energy on how the reading flows, and I just go with it. It's an oracle reading, it's an oracle reading, it's a tarot reading, it's a tarot reading. But it does look like you have somebody that is going back to thinking about you. It could also be somebody who was acting totally uninterested, but maybe that wasn't the truth. This is somebody who's logical, they make plans, they want to have an open mind, they're usually a very good communicator. You know, the King of Swords, he looks really happy. You know, there's also two birds on that throne above him. I don't even know what kind of birds those are. He's ready to go fishing, you know. King of Swords is sometimes overly logical or overly analytical. The King of Swords usually has a lesson where they need to connect to their heart. If there's a disconnect, it doesn't matter how many pretty words they have or how they can hold themselves in a conversation or talk to many different personalities. If they're not speaking or living their truth, or if there's a disconnect in how they really feel. The King of Swords upside down is cold, nasty, is kind of like mean-boned, where he doesn't care who he hurts because he's usually very egotistical, somebody who cares about himself. Or it could be the exact opposite, somebody who only is concerned about everybody else more out of appearance and actually puts no actual love into themselves. There's always that lack thing. But when he's open, when he has an open mind, when he wants to unlearn, when he wants to relearn, when he wants more information, when he wants to meet different personalities, have different ideas, seeing the world and all that, he's always expanding. But I do feel like this is somebody that wants to have a conversation with you, or if this is you, you need to have a clear, honest, open conversation. Or if this is just somebody who has a lot of ideas, all of these things they could do in their everyday life and what to work on, he needs to act and put energy into those ideas and get out of his head and stop thinking about it already. At least write something down. Start with one step. Clarify the King of Swords. So it could be, maybe the King of Swords. Yeah, the King of Swords is definitely, okay, these came out with the King of Swords. So the King of Swords is probably somebody that wasn't his ego, was really wrapped up in, you got the Devil here, the Devil energy. Maybe too much thinking, too much gym, too much work, too much partying, too much of something, and that creates an imbalance. It does look like this king, at least the Devil, came out upside down, which is good, which means whatever was tying him down or constraining him or making him feel stuck, or he was sticking in or making others feel stuck, is being reflected upon. There's inner awareness that, yes, somebody's ready to look the Devil in the eye and be like, what? And I don't know why I just heard the Devil, you know. Sometimes it's not easy to stay with the devil. You know you're still staying with the damn devil. So it's facing something without that fear, and you're now tapping into that light of spirit, God, love, truth, unconditional authenticity. That's going to be so much more powerful than any shadows or any thrills or any limitations. Because when somebody is ready to embody their truth, there is also something a little tempting that comes on in. A little apple comes through. Like, are you going to take it, or did you learn your lesson? So if somebody's learned their lesson, dealt with their shadows, dealt with, whatever energies are over here, because this is somebody that's in a lot of competition. Too many freaking cooks in the kitchen here. Everybody has their own opinion, but nobody's getting along. Everyone's just swinging their everyone's just swinging their paddles all over the place, but nobody's working to get each other better. It's where everyone's supposed to be on the same team, supposed to be working, so we all get better. We're going to go against that game, and yet everyone's just secretly or outwardly against the other one. So that's an uncomfortable place to be, where you have the Five of Wands. It could just be where somebody is recognizing they put people in competition that didn't have to be. It could also be somebody who's having thoughts about that energy. You can't compete with where you don't compare. It could also be that somebody was so worried about others' opinions of him, and that got him so stuck in his freaking head that was what was binding growth, progress. Easier to keep going back to the, the old cycle, the old karmic pattern or whatever, because those ropes, rather than learn something completely new. But I feel like with that devil energy, somebody's gained the strength to make some big changes, to maybe even find a peaceful solution for a situation where nobody saw eye to eye. And if there was somebody that's not a big crowd, but just somebody he or she didn't see eye to eye with, he's looking someone dead in the eyes and being truthful. And if that person is not agreeable or not understanding something or not open to change, it's okay to be the one to cut those binding ropes. Be that powerful energy of, I don't know why I see a star exploding like a supernova. I just thought of Champagne Supernova. I like that song. I haven't heard that in a while. Champagne Supernova in the sky. And it's a 5, so it's change. If somebody was, not wanting to do something, keeping himself in these ropes because he was so afraid about what others would think, kind of feel like he's starting to not give a shit, especially these weirdos over here always have their own weird opinions that are stemming from their root issues or their own reflection. And especially if that reflection was a one-sided mirror and they never wanted to see where he or anyone else was coming from. If this is the other way around, I like that energy. That's healthy competition. That's the power couple. That's being a team player with others that are just as good as you, and you keep each other on your toes. You're like, yeah, man, we got that big game coming at the end of the week. You ready? You put on yellows over here. This side puts on green. Go. Do that little practice match, that scrimmage match. We're gonna really rock this practice so we win the game at the end of the week. Win the Super Bowl, whatever it is. But you want people to not be half-ass in that thing and give you a shit game on the other side. Otherwise, you're not really getting the practice. If you have somebody, I don't know why I just thought of, maybe because I play violin. You have somebody who's a violin teacher, you don't want them to keep giving you Mary Had a Little Lamb if you want to play concerto or you want to play Hindemith or something. How are you going to grow if everything is okay, you did Mary Little Lamb, get ready, we're going to do Twinkle Twinkle Little Star this week. It's really? This is somebody who wants to get better, not to sit in kindergarten. So, if it's that tough teacher, you're gonna You're gonna, you know, make somebody have a little bit harder of a lesson the next time so that they do grow and they do get better. What's at the bottom? 3 of Cups, which could be going back to a third party if this is upside down. I also see this upside down as that mean girls, mean boys. You know, maybe they always have people kissing their ass, or they're always kissing somebody else's ass because of status. You know, it's the little gossips. It's the people that maybe look beautiful on the outside or seem like they have it all going on, but then there's like an empty shell of who they could be. When they're talking about somebody else, it makes them feel better, or they're doing any kind of manipulation tactics to, like, you know, see somebody fall down on the banana peel. This is taking yourself away from energies like that. If this is a third party situation and that does not make you feel good, you take yourself out of that situation and towards the friends and the, where's your jugs? The light-hearted energies here, where you're like, yeah, we're all different. Did everybody bring their hula skirts? Hey, Joe up there, did you bring your ukulele? You know, Henry, did you bring your cajon over there, or your, you know, your drums? Let's make this shit a party. And it's the people that are all different than each other. I like that actually the 3 of Cups has more than, actually it's 5 people in it. It's where everyone's accepted. They're dancing. That energy of dancing is not being ahead of yourself, being behind yourself, even with the music. It's being on that note, on that move that you are on, in the now that you get. And that's when, it's like when spirit really flows. That's when creativity really flows. It is a 3. So it's creativity in emotions as well. Creativity in spirit. It's everybody knows how to fill up their own cup. And if Susie Q over here comes one day and she just had a breakup, she's not feeling so good, it's having friends that are like, you're looking a little depleted. Come on, I'll give you a little extra here. But then it's not somebody who's just overly taking. You know, it's not always going out with a friend that's like, can you spot me? Can you spot me? Can you spot me? Otherwise, it's like, dude, you know, like, I don't mind helping you out once in a while, but, you know, if I'm going to be spotting you all the time, at least, you know, if they, let's just say it is somebody who doesn't have money, be like, you know, I'm spotting you all the time and I'm helping you out every time we're out. Hey, I need somebody to watch my kids. You want to do some babysitting and make up for that? So there is some way to have energy exchange, unless somebody's just entitled. So just pay attention to the energies around you and take your beautiful ass around the people that love you for you. Whether you're going through a breakup, whether you know, have found the most amazing partner in the world, those would be people that want to see you in love, that want the best for you, that encourage you when you're down, and they're your biggest fans when you're shining. You get to choose those people. And if you don't feel like there's people like that around you, I mean, this is having fun. Maybe you need to join a class. You know, maybe you need to go out somewhere different. If your place, you know, your watering hole kind of sucks. Maybe you're going on a hike with a bunch of people and you decide to go bird watching one weekend. Switch, you know, throw that monkey wrench in your own life. Do something a little different. If you feel stagnant or stuck or plateaued or in your head, or like you're putting effort into something but it's not really getting you anywhere. Sometimes you got to go that side path. You keep putting the effort maybe where it's bringing you stability, but maybe that side path is going to be your ultimate, you know, career. Or maybe you never thought you wanted to go bird watching, but you didn't know you'd meet your forever person next to you looking for freaking robins and eagles in the woods. Follow your joy. Follow your curiosity. God will guide you. You never know where you're gonna end up. This was a big one, guys. This was a big reading. So I've learned to just, I used to be in my head. Like this, where's this? Look at this king here. I used to get in my head, be like, oh no one's gonna watch the readings, they're too long. Or I gotta keep it 10 minutes, that's when people get views. Or that's when like this has to be exactly, you know, exactly 42 minutes. Or exactly this the same time. And that's not me. I just go with the energies that come through. I learned to just get out of my head, get into spirit, allow the messages to come through how they need to, and as long as or as short they need to be. Stop wasting my time with what I can't control and trust. So, even when I say weird shit like that, that's also, I still feel like it's a lesson. Because I feel like I'm here learning with you guys. I've had a long journey, many lifetimes in this lifetime. So let's get you one final spirit message. One final message for the collective. And message up, glasses on. What is this? Count all of your blessings, even the small ones. Exclamation point. Show gratitude and appreciation for all that you have in your life. And all that has yet to come into it. Your best days are still ahead of you. Isn't that a wonderful thought? So even if you had a temporary situation that was weird, you got great, amazing, best days you've ever had coming up. If you had some amazeball moments, chapters, relationships, and I just heard episodes, chapters in your life, lives within lives, and you're still not at the best yet, either way, it's a lot to look forward to. With this, I bid you adieu. Thank you so much for being here. With grace and gratitude from the depth of my heart and soul, thank you for being my soul family. I love you so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.